Let's dive right into this. We'll probably do like an hour probably of this training, and then we'll go into sort of like question answer coaching, free form, whatever you may have questions about, both on the content or in your own life. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so tonight is about how we are all often stuck in survival mode. Most people in the world live a lot of their life in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, very high percentage. And tonight is about how we change that. There's a quote from Rumi that I love. He says, "Fear is the cheapest room in the tavern, and you deserve better lodgings." Tonight is about that. It's about how do we like kind of heal the experience of constantly being subtly afraid. And also understanding that our physiology is far more powerful than our psychology. If you can ally with your body, it has amazing powers that can radically improve your sense of well-being in life. And if you are fighting with your body, you will lose every single time. So what we're talking about tonight comes out of a body of work called polyvagal theory, which looks at how do we actually ally with our body? How do we work with our body rather than working against it? And how does a lot of how does a lot of trauma, like a lot of psychology from like the beginning of the 20th century, is about our mind. It's like if you can look at things and understand them and talk about them and see them, then they'll change. And there are circumstances where that is true, and there's a lot of circumstances where that is not true. Like we've really seen the limit of how far that can take us. And there's a whole huge cutting edge wave in psychology today that's about how do we actually work through the body with less words. And ironically, I'm going to be using a lot of words to share this with you all tonight, and we'll get into some experiential play by the end. But the theory is helpful to kind of grasp like what are we actually even talking about, and then we can play with it. The core of this work is about the largest nerve in our body, which is called the vagus nerve, which means wanderer in Latin. The vagus nerve innervates all of our organs, all of our, or most of our hormonal system, and also our facial expressions. So, very, very, very important organ. This is a diagram of it here. The vagus nerve is deeply intertwined with our autonomic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that is not under our conscious control. Our heart rate, our cortisol, our adrenals, our lungs and breath, the way we digest, like absolutely essential. Like core to life and to how well our system is functioning also. So it's a foundational part of our health and our sense of vitality in the world. There's a study called the ACEs study, which is fascinating. It's called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. It's a longitudinal study over 20 years studying the impacts of trauma on children and what happens to them later in life. And there is an overwhelmingly strong connection with people who experience intense amounts of trauma having chronic illness later in their lives. Heart disease, just strain immune disorders. Like a core reason for that is because trauma affects our vagus nerve and its capacity to like sufficiently innervate and work with all the organs that it touches. This is also like when you hear people say like, "Oh, I've really been ruminating on something." It's like I've been brooding and ruminating emotionally. We say ruminating because our vagus nerve, just deeply tied in with our emotions, is also deeply tied in with our gut. So really common when people have trauma, they also have gut and health digestion issues. And I can just show you this image again, right? So All our gut, very intertwined with the vagus nerve. Similarly, like this is another diagram of it, just very deeply intertwined. Core part of what is happening in our body in any given moment is our body is constantly asking the question, am I safe right here? Am I safe right now? This is not a conscious process, it is unconscious, although with conscious awareness, we can start to change it. But a lot of our well-being depends on whether or not our body gets the answer yes or no to that question. And our bodies can get stuck perceiving danger when we are no longer actually in physical danger. And we'll talk more about why that is later. This is why, like as a culture, we are physically far safer than we have ever been. But mentally and emotionally, people are living in immense and extreme states of fear and stress. And a core reason for that is we are a chronically underconnected society. We are social animals. We are mammals. We need connection. And we're also a fairly traumatized society, and many of us grow up in households where love and connection was a channel that people didn't really quite know how to open or like the amount of love and connection that children need to actually feel nourished and connected and safe is fairly underdeveloped in our culture. And as children, being loved and accepted and being a part of the tribe is life or death. It is essential to safety. And that's from our evolutionary past because it was life or death to be accepted by the tribe and by the pack. So there's a lot of ways that children cope with environments that didn't quite know how to love us or quite know how to hold us. And there's a lot of coping mechanisms that we do to handle the experience of, I don't know if I'm safe. I don't know if I will get the love and the affection that I need. And that's just one place trauma can come from. And we're talking from there's the spectrum of T trauma that's like a very intensive experience that, has a very big spike in our system. But another kind of trauma is little T trauma, which is like there was just low forms of neglect or my parents didn't see me in certain ways. And that can read as be as over a long term as like a really intense traumatic experience. The sense of subtle disconnection and I don't know how to actually contact or connect with you. Or connection with you is a little bit scary. And when that happens, we develop survival strategies, fight, flight, freeze. Our system starts to route like, okay, this is how I can try to solve this problem. And we can change this with awareness and with practice. So what trauma actually is, and this is important, it's important to understand like where our how trauma lives in our body, and then we can get into like, okay, how does it trigger stress responses and how do we unwind that? Trauma is both what happened that shouldn't have happened and what didn't happen that should have happened. So it's not just something painful that happened, it's also there was something missing that system really needed.
Hey Nick, I would turn your video off. You're kind of skipping.
Missing experience being, yeah, Ben, am I getting choppy?
Yeah, a bit for me at least. So you might want to turn video off again.
Okay. Yeah, if you all can turn off your videos for now, I think that'll help. Can you hear my voice without it getting choppy, right?
Yes.
I'm just gonna keep talking. Can you all hear the voice coming through okay
Yeah,
without
we
getting
can hear you. I can hear you.
great? Thank you. So trauma can leave missing experiences of being known, being delighted in, feeling safe, chronically unsafe. And this is just like a note. People, when they're healing trauma, are often working to heal the pain or the painful memories. But a part of healing trauma is also creating the experience that we missed. It's creating pleasure. It's creating the connection that we longed for. That, in many ways, can be so much more healing than trying to go in and like resolve, a memory or a wound. Sometimes just creating the experience we missed is exactly the medicine. And trauma always happens inside a physiological state. So if trauma happens to us when we're during action or joy or movements or exuberance, like bigness, then bigness will feel unsafe, whether that's big emotions or crowds or movement. We'll start to track more towards like being more and more and more still. And the opposite is also true. If trauma happened to us during stillness and rest and quiet, those can also feel unsafe for us. And we'll track more and more towards like go, 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 stay ahead of the curve. Some of the things in this document I'm gonna skip past and maybe come back to so that we can get right into the nervous system states. I don't want to prep this so much. So the last thing I want to say about trauma is you cannot do trauma work without grief work. Anytime we are healing trauma, the second layer of the healing of the trauma is like there's a wave of grief always for the experience or the thing that we missed or the thing that we went through. And grief work is always best done in connection with other people. Okay, let's get actually into what the nervous system states are. So I'm sure you all have heard fight, flight, freeze before. But we want to pick apart what exactly those are and how they happen through our body. So this is a map of fight, flight, and freeze right here. And the first thing I want to note is like, so ventral vagal, I'll say more about what it is, but this is our comfort zone. This is where we have capacity. This is where we feel safe. And then there's a trigger that happens right here. And our system starts to say, am I safe? I don't know. And our system it has an alert and it starts to look like, okay, am I actually okay? Can I orient and find some safety? If yes, then we stay within this realm. If no, we start to ramp up into a sympathetic response. So sympathetic, this is the sympathetic branch of our autonomic nervous system is like where we feel power and we like start dumping energy into our adrenals, our eyes contract, our breath picks up, our heart rate picks up. We feel powerful, but it's like, how can I use my power to actually resolve the situation? Can I run and get out of the situation? Can I fight my way out of it? And if those don't work, we hit a state of high freeze, which is like a deer in the headlights. Like it's like very high energy, but also kind of trapped because it's like, is there anywhere I can jump that will actually solve this situation? And I'm going to go more deeply into each of these states so there's a deeper sense of what this looks like. And if these three states if this does not work, what will happen is then we will drop down into a branch of the nervous system called dorsal vagal, which is the oldest branch of our nervous system. And its strategy is to play dead. So its strategy is to collapse and play dead. Yeah. And I just, even as I'm speaking, I just want to invite for you all right now, just like this is a lot I'm running through. Just take a breath. Just feel your body for a moment. Just notice whatever's here. Notice whatever you feel just being here in this room, learning. Something I was feeling the space contracting a little bit, so I want to just invite some breath. Something that actually is a part of learning and healing our body is so many of us came through elementary schools, high schools, where we literally had to like force ourselves to sit still and learn. And learning has become this experience of kind of forcing ourselves to there's almost like a degree of shutdown that can happen when we're learning too. Because our context of learning is like kind of like deny yourself and force your way through and make your brain absorb all the knowledge. And I want to just invite some breath even here, even now. And I'm going to be tossing a lot of information at you, and I want to invite you just to that you can rest, and the information that you need will your system will grab. And if it's not important, it'll come back another time. Mhm. Okay. So general understanding, there's a trigger, right? There's an alert. Our system says, okay, can I find safety? If yes, great. If no, we ramp up into sympathetic. And then if all that energy can't solve anything, our body's like, well, just play dead. I'm going to play a video right now of this is an impala that a jaguar has attacked, and it is playing dead. And it's going to live, so just for your systems, it will get away. Playing dead in this case works. But the thing to notice is just like partially it's just like noticing what it's like for a being that's playing dead. But you'll also get to see after it so it plays dead, the playing dead is successful, and then what happens after that is it literally has to shake off both the chemicals but also the experience and the energy of I was just playing dead so that it can come back to it like is walking itself back to sympathetic, which is what happens when each one of us in this room has a certain place that we tend to go, and I'll get into why that is. But each of you had a survival strategy that worked best for you. For some of you, it was fight. And your system just more commonly will go to fight because it's like that worked in the past. For some of us, it's collapse, it's feigning death. I am in this realm. Like my system goes to collapse when things get hard or when I'm triggered. And when we're healing and walking our way back out of collapse, we actually learn how to walk back through, oh, I have some power. I can have my fight. I can have my flight. And that provides a sense of power that helps to heal the system and then come back to ventral. And you're going to see that with this Impala. It kind of like it goes into collapse and then it walks its way back to like, okay, I can shake my way back and then I can move again. One other valuable thing to note, the reason that animals play dead is because predators have a bite reflex. Like predators only will um, bite and kill if they feel resistance. Like they need resistance in order to make a kill. Because a lot of predators won't eat um, they won't eat like dead animals that they just find lying around. They want to eat fresh. And so if you play dead, there's a chance, it probably isn't successful all the time, but there's a chance that the predator will be like, oh, I don't actually like this, and I don't have the resistance I need to actually make a kill. Um, that's why playing dead can work as a strategy. So you'll notice its belly starts breathing here. First thing to come back online. Its system is starting to walk back out of collapse. Breath gets bigger. And then a lot of shaking. So partially it's shedding chemicals, but it's also just like its system is like moving through, oh, wait, hang on, I have actually, there's a flight response that it's completing in this moment. So the impala before, like running was not successful, right? It got. So the flight response was not successful and then it went into collapse. But this shaking is actually the body recontacting, oh, I actually can move and I do have power and I do have agency. So I'm gonna like add a little more color and flavor to what are these things? Fight, flight, freeze. So fight can look like rage in a person. Like let's say that they're triggered and like the person senses danger and then their system goes to, okay, I'll try to fight my way through it. It can look like rage and anger. It can also look like I'm going to do anything to try to fix this. It can look like I'm going to argue and be most right. It can also look like I will do anything to control the situation. Flight can be I will physically leave. It can also be addiction, distraction, or like energetic escape of like they're just no longer there. Like they kind of like poof out a little bit. Not so present. This can be a very confusing experience for children. When a parent commonly goes to like an energetic flight, they just kind of like leave their body a little bit because they're in pain. And it's just like there's like 1,000 yards energetically of like distance to try to reach your parent. And the love feels really far away or really misty or like hard to contact or know that it's there. That is a very terrifying experience for a child and a very confusing one because it's like there's no obvious trauma that is happening, but it is inherently traumatizing because it creates this experience of a void and like where are you and are you here? Is my parent here? Is there love here? Is and in that it's also asking, is there safety here? I don't know. And for a child who looks to their parents as leaders and to show that there is safety, that can be a very traumatizing and confusing experience. And I'm speaking for their nervous system. Like their nervous system is saying, that's kind of terrifying. I don't know what to do about that. If I'm moving on to high freeze, it's a feeling of being, it's like I feel energized, but I feel extremely trapped. I don't know where to jump. I don't know where to move. Low freeze is collapse or playing dead, and it looks like the way low freeze looks. For me, I know if I'm hitting this place if I just start reading novels forever. I'm just like I'm like on a bed reading a novel, and it's like it's not really that helpful, but I'm just like I'm kind of like dead to the world. Like people like Netflix can be a thing for people. Um, Yeah, it's like you're out for the count for a while. And the thing to know about each of these survival states is they all have a story of the world. So somebody who often lives in collapse will have a different story and experience of the world than somebody who commonly lives in fight. Okay. Yeah. So, and the thing is, this is a nervous system state. And actually, you know what? There's something I want to explain before we get into this. We all have habitual states that we go into. So, and that is because when we're young and our system finds a strategy that works well, it will myelinate, which means it will create essentially like a super highway for our body to go right to that spot. The nerves just that fire to go to, in this case, if I'm working for myself, collapse. They myelinate, which means they develop like a fatty layer on each nerve that like creates a super conduit that allows the system to just route right there very fast. So it creates like a groove in our body. It's like, oh, this is how we respond to this. And the response gets faster and faster and faster. And that's something that we can heal by laying down new grooves in other ways. But this is how these patterns get like very, very ingrained in our being and in our body. And when I say that like a survival pattern, like our body reads it as a good one, it doesn't mean that it feels good, and it doesn't mean that it generates necessarily long-term good things for our life. What it means is it allows me to survive and get through that circumstance. And a child will try each one of these, right? Like it's like, okay, I'll try fight with my parents or my caregivers, whoever they are. Did that get me the safety that my system needed? And in this case, safety could be it gets I get attention. Could be it. It's like even if I don't get love, I get the attention that I need, and that's enough, even if it's negative attention. Or maybe I go to fight and my parents just ignore me even more, or they attack me to such a degree that this does not feel good. Then I may go to collapse, and my system will just route to like you know, being out of it and dropped and collapsed. So we all develop particular states that we go to when we're triggered. When we're triggered and things feel dangerous, our body will start to go right to that spot. And the story that we have about the world, this affects our psyche as well. So the way that we view the world is like comes through the lens of the survival state that we are in. Or the state of connection and well-being that we're in. So for those of us who route to dorsal vagal, and dorsal vagal is all in the gut. It's the enteric nervous system. It's the oldest branch of our nervous system. We're the ruminators. It is a story of defeat and death and despair. So I'm a failure. Why do I even try? The world is so overwhelming. It's futile. It's useless. Like these are the words of a possum playing dead. And they're not true about the world, right? But this is the like psyche that happens when our body is experiencing dorsal vagal often. And trying to like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, like mindset your way out of a body state will only get you so far. Like trying to do belief management around I'm a failure will be hard if your system is literally saying, no, you don't understand. Like, I have to play dead because that's the way that I survive. So there's a different kind of approach that we need to unwind that so that we actually experience relief and change. And we'll talk about that later. What do you actually do? And you can learn to recognize your own sort of like flavor of dorsal vagal. Like I know it's happening for me when I said this before, I think I just start reading books forever. And you can start to feel it too. You know, you can start to track like there's for me in my body, it's like it feels like the world is closing in on me. My breath gets pretty short. Um, like it's like I'm just exhaling and like I'm not taking very big breaths. A lot of my energy feels like it's collected in my core and in my belly. And that's my like, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, we need to we need to start to be with this. The story of sympathetic is different. So sympathetic being this branch. So flight, fight, high freeze are all part of the sympathetic response, which is an energy rich response, where dorsal vagal is an energy poor response. Dorsal vagal is like all this energy didn't get me anywhere, so I'm just taking all the energy out. Energy gone. But sympathetic, and actually, what I would say too is it's important to note that all of us have all of these places. We just tend towards one particular one. And actually, oftentimes the healing is, and I'll speak more about this later, is learning how to contact. Like if I'm more often here, me contacting my rage and my power is very valuable. It helps me to feel that actually there is some power and there are some things that I can do. And vice versa. Oftentimes people's rage is trying to cover over, like, I don't want to collapse the way that I once did in the past. So the sympathetic fight, flight, freeze story is one of protection. It's like, I have the power and the world is dangerous and I will use my power. I'm on my own is a big one. I'm being attacked. The world is out to get me and I have to fight back, which is a pretty exhausting way to live all the time. Hypervigilance, protection, defensiveness. This was from one of my teachers. She was like, I know I'm in sympathetic when I start swearing every word. It's like I have all this energy, but it's not like a fun kind of use of energy. It's like I'm in danger and I have to use it somehow. And I'm just going to invite, let's just take a pause here and just take a breath. Just feel your body. Just notice whatever you feel, even as we're talking about this. How your body's doing. Hey, body. Ah. So this is the fun one. I mean, they're all fun in their own way, I suppose. Ventral is the experience of connection. Ventral is the newest branch of the nervous system. It's a particularly mammalian branch. So ventral is like, it is all about connection and safety. This is like a mother raising her child. Ventral is the experience of I have connection and I am safe. I'm okay. People are here to help me. I can learn and grow. I'm resourced and resourceful. I'm enough as I am. The world is on my side. And when it doesn't seem that way, I can handle it. And all of these different states, so ventral, sympathetic, dorsal, um, these are a continuum. So our goal here is not that you never experience sympathetic or never experience collapse. It's that you can actually move through any experience. It can actually run through you like water. You can allow it enough that the charge of it can actually shake off, just like this Impala, right? It's like it was able to actually move through and out of the collapse and come right back. There's this book called Zebras Don't Get Ulcers that's about the question, why don't zebras get ulcers? Because they're literally getting attacked by lions. Whereas like human beings get develop these like, worry ulcers, right? But we're not getting attacked by lions. And the reason is because our survival responses get stuck and frozen and just loop, 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 where animals are really good at letting energy move through them because they let their body's intelligence do what it wants to do. Humans have this interesting mind that lets us like um, imagine and project and worry and get stuck in the past and stuck in the future. And that combined with a survival response can create this loop that just keeps a survival response running. It never actually gets to complete itself. So a lot of somatic therapies are actually about, okay, how do we, like, you want to fight, how do we let your fight actually complete so that your system can relax rather than the way that it stays frozen inside of you? Same thing with the collapse. And I'll talk more about how do we do that and what does that look like. But an important thing to know is we're not saying you will never be in sympathetic. We're saying, no, there's actually gifts there and you'll be triggered sometimes. How do you actually let it move through you so you can come back to connection, come back to a sense of feeling safe? So summarized, low freeze or dorsal vagal versus high freeze, which is sympathetic freeze. So low freeze carries the flavor of shame and despair. It carries shame because it holds this energy um, of I am wrong or I'm actually say that kind of all of these carry a layer of shame. But when a child is triggered, or when a child feels like the love isn't present, um, or some part of who they are isn't loved and is rejected, the child's two options in that moment are either to say, my parent isn't very loving, or there's something wrong with me. And a child will always go to there is something wrong with me because it gives us a sense of control. This is the core of where shame comes from and why it can be so ingrained, because it was a survival response at a certain time to say, oh, that was not loving and that hurt, and it must be my fault. Like the option of my parent is not great about this or isn't loving around this topic is a terrifying, terrifying, terrifying thing to face. And it's far safer for a child's system to say, oh, there must be something I'm doing wrong. There's something I can control here. This is my fault. I'll find out how I'm bad. And once I figure it out, then I will have solved this and the love will be here. And I'm just going to invite us all to take a breath again. And I'm actually just going to stop sharing for a moment. Let's see if we can come back on the screen. I'm about to see all your faces. Also, hey, Kat. Can you all see me? Yeah, great. Just want to say hi, feel you. It's a lot that I'm throwing out. Hmm. Let's also just see each other right now, like social connection here and now. Like, hey, is it safe? Are we okay? Just in learning and being with all this, and just see some of these faces. All of us here to love and learn more about connection and groundedness. Super beautiful. Yeah, I just want to take a breath with you. Beautiful. Are there any questions so far? We will take questions later, but if there's anything right now that's feeling unclear, happy to speak to it. Okay, cool. We'll keep going. Um, I have a person asking, they say they want to join, so I'm just gonna see, just make sure she can get in. Okay, back to sharing. Goodbye. Turn your videos off. Get out of here. Okay. So fawning, I'm sure you all have heard about fawning. Fawn is not a nervous system state the way that these others are. Fawning is so fawning is when we're in dorsal vagal, we're in collapse, we're like, I'm done. But we disguise it. We pretend that we have capacity so that things stay okay. We pretend that we're connected. I'm totally great. Yes, I agree with you. Of course, that sounds amazing. It is regulating other people so that you can feel safe and you don't have to feel your own activation. And that's not your conscious mind, that's unconscious. It is a self-erasing strategy for belonging. It's like fun says, oh, you don't like who I truly am? That's okay. I'll just make it vanish. Therefore, we'll stay in connection and we'll stay safe. It's a core element of what drives codependency. It's like the connection matters more than who I am. So much of individuation is leaning into the edge of who I am matters. It's safe for me to be who I am. I can create what I need. And I can stand up for who I truly am within connection and create connection that welcomes and sees all of who I am, and vice versa, which is like a massive enlightenment awakening journey that we just go deeper and deeper in. So this is just a different map of like the same. It's the same as this, but it's just presented a little differently. So this is ventral, and there's activation in ventral, but then, oh, I'm able to settle. Okay, great. There's some activation, and cool, I can settle. I'm staying within my sense of capacity and being okay and safe. And I can handle the triggers that come my way. Which, none of us do perfectly. As we learn how to be with rage or panic or terror or collapse and let it move through and unwind it, our window so this is our window of capacity where it's like, yeah, I've got capacity, I'm good. Our window gets bigger and bigger. So I can't demonstrate it well on the computer, but like this line starts to go higher and higher. This line starts to go lower and lower. And our like range of what we can be with without getting super thrown just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's enough about that. So, how do we unwind these patterns? What do we actually do about this? Before I even go there, actually, what I'd invite for you is notice if one or two of these you're like, yeah, I think that's me. Like, does your system tend to go to fight? A way that I can point to fight as well is like, um, fight carries. Actually, yeah, we'll get into this later. I don't need to go into this right now. So in terms of unwinding, The I just wanted to bring in here that like anxiety and depression both are words that get thrown around very casually. And they actually, as words, are not very useful or descriptive. They are like massively vague terms that don't point to a whole lot. And I won't say that every part of anxiety is sympathetic activation. I shouldn't say is like one part. But it's so much more accurate to say, oh, my body is in sympathetic activation and I have fight going on right now, or I have flight going on right now. Because that's way, or it's more useful to, because there's something we can really do about that. Similar with depression, right? Like, depression is often a dorsal, like it entails a lot of dorsal collapse. And when we can be with that and start to transform that, really interesting things can start to happen within a system. And we have a lot more pathways we can work with that will actually create a different experience. Um, this like I think the core thing I wanted to point to here is just that a core part of like what this allows us to do is to shift from victimhood to agency, where we can actually do something about what's happening and we can see how to do that and when and why. Yeah, I think we'll come back to this. Obviously, I didn't lay out my how I was presenting all this. um, in the it's like not making sense to me as I start to talk about it. Um, okay, let's talk about dorsal vagal healing. So, healing collapse. What do we do? Valuable thing to know that dorsal vagal comes after sympathetic activation. So you saw that in the chart, right? There's like we go to sympathetic, it doesn't work, we drop right down into collapse. You can also imagine like an animal that's injured in the wild, right? It's like they're alerted. Let's say there's a lion in the grass, alert. They heard a sound. Orienting. Okay, we don't see any danger. Great, we're good. We'll stay in safety. But let's say, okay, I just saw a lion. First, we go through all these, like, I'm going to try to do something about it. And then if that doesn't work, drop into dorsal. So there's a flow that our body goes through. This is also why, like, when people have this experience of dorsal, they have this experience of I am powerless because literally they no longer have access to their power. I don't have agency because my agency is up here. And this is true even if somebody like has a very myelinated highway right to go to collapse, their body still moves through all of these pieces, but it just happens really fast and really muted, and they just go. They don't even give these a chance anymore because their system's just like, nope, that didn't work. We're going right to what worked. So dorsal often appears when fight or flight fails. Not often, it does. Um, Healing of dorsal, there's two steps to healing dorsal that are both valuable and important. Healing dorsal vagal is all about and when I say learning, this is not like my mind learns this, it's my body learns this through experience. Learning that I can have energy in my body and it's safe. It's okay. It's okay for me to experience energy in my body. That their system is going to learn it's not safe for me to have power. Therefore, I won't. And if I start to feel my power, I'm just going to collapse and shut it down. And that's unconscious. Dorsal vagal tends to have a lot of like it's like I can't express myself. I can't voice or get big. Like my voice literally just goes away in hard moments. And we learn how to bring more of our power online. So the way to do that is number one, when like for me, let's say that I'm in dorsal vagal, or for you, or for a partner, if your partner goes more towards dorsal. My learning is number one, how do I come to some acceptance of where I'm at? I.e., like to know, okay, I'm in dorsal vagal. Can I inhabit this moment? Can I actually start to feel where I am? Can I start to feel my body? Can I start to let it like, okay, I'm on a bed and I'm reading forever. I'm reading a book. And like while also in this experience of the world is overwhelming and attacking me. What are small things that I can start to bring in that moment that help my body to feel more safe? Can I start to softly breathe into my belly, even as I'm doing this like um right? Like that's me on the bed. Like there's Nick. He's out. The lion just attacked. Um, right, like can I know that like okay, I'm here. And like can I start to allow my system to just breathe and let it be okay that I'm here? And as I have grown with this, I've learned other things that I can do that really help me to start to bring a little bit of sense of safety and capacity and energy online. And this is something I recommend for all of you as you start to track what helps to regulate me. And I'll talk more about that later. For me, like things that can really help in that moment. Yes, breath can be really helpful. Bringing other people in. So like I just have like a phone list of people that I'll just call to connect with, and just feeling another human being by my side literally expands my sense of my nervous system and just being loved by another human. This is why tribe and community are so essentially important. It brings online a sense of safety and connectedness that can hold us when we don't know how to hold ourselves, and can hold a different energy and perspective that can be it's like, oh, you're not in total danger right now? Wow. Well, I am. But maybe, it's like we can start to feel like maybe that's not true. You're over here and I'm down here. And if we can do that with love and awareness and breathing, we can start to bring a little more energy back into this state. And this is something that we train our body in. So this is literally like weight training, Olympic training. It's like, how do I start to show up to this embodied experience in a different way? And we start to build and grow our capacity to be in this moment and also come back to a sense of regulation and safety. So this is one part. I would also say, work with a practitioner who understands this is another. Like they can just in session, you can go and contact the part of you that is in dorsal. Because when we have a strong dorsal impulse, there's a part of us that oftentimes is collapsed a lot of the time. And we can go and meet that place and help it and start to contact it in a way that's really different. And our body can start to let down in a really different way. This is where some of you probably have done parts work. So internal family systems, parts work. The core of parts work is that it's a psychological model. We think that we think our minds are just like one thing. It's like I just think things and this is me. This is me. I'm one being. But neuropsychology says that's absolutely not true. There are multiple parts of you that have different intelligences and different ways of seeing the world. So we can actually view each of these as a part. My dorsal collapsed part, my fight part, my flight, I'm getting the fuck out of here part, my calm, sage, wise one, like, and you can literally go and contact each of those places. And we can, if for those of us who are working with dorsal, we can meet the part of us that's on the floor, dead, and start to build a relationship with that place that's very different. And as we can do that, lots more like energy and life can start to come back here step by step, piece by piece, no rush, and really different things can happen. The second layer of dorsal vagal healing is contacting the underlying layer of fight and flight. So we went through all this and then we dropped into collapse, right? The secondary part of healing this is I get to start to contact my fight and my power. I get to start to contact the part of me that wants to run away. That's where you can play another video here of a different discharging that happens. So this is a polar bear that I think they're doing biological tagging, and they tag the bear. So it is what's the word, like out of it, right? It's got a lot of opioids in its system. It's unconscious. That's the word I'm looking for. And they're just hanging out with it. And as it is coming out of the unconsciousness, does the same thing, right? All this shaking, this is the flight response that it didn't get to run through. So this is the flight response that it was like, I have to get the fuck away from that helicopter. And that didn't work. You can see this in slow motion. So this is something that happens in somatic therapies. So like can be working with a client who's contacting a part of themselves that has been collapsed for a long time. And when it's ripe and it pops, all of a sudden their body will want to shake like this. Like their legs will literally start moving. Or you'll see like their arms come up as if they're like, I want to protect myself from something. Like their fight or flight responses come online because when we have these ingrained survival responses that came from painful triggers in our far distant past, they're literally like frozen moments that we never got to complete. So the child who goes to dorsal vagal had many moments of like, I'm trying to fight this thing off and it's not working. And as we heal it and contact the fight again, all of a sudden you'll see their body start to do this kind of like, I'm warding off movement. And once the body can actually experience that in real time again, it's like, oh God, I was able to actually like put my arms up and like I can feel my power again. You'll have these big movements of relief and softening, and oftentimes a ton of tears. The grief of having to hold that for so long. So a part of healing dorsal vagal is contacting that deeper layer of power. And then that's something you can build a relationship with. And like, as you go into dorsal vagal, you start to be like, okay, nope, I'm going, like, what happens if I contact my fight right now? Like, there's a woman, I love this woman, Lisa Wimberger, who created a modality called neurosculpting, she had seizures that she realized were caused by issues with her vagus nerve. And she eventually came to realize that it was because she had been suppressing her fight response so hard. And anytime she felt triggered, her fight response would come up and her entire body would contract around it extremely hard. And she learned how to actually contact her her fight response. And she had lifelong grand mal seizures and they completely went away. I'm not saying this is a silver bullet for all seizures, but in that case, it was. Like our bodies do wild things when they're not allowed to move in the way that they want to move. And this is where the allying is happening, right? It's like, okay, can I contact the power that I actually have? And then really powerful things happen. So let's talk about healing sympathetic, and then we'll talk a bit about partnership, and I'm going to leave half an hour for us to do question and answer as well. So sympathetic is a protection against death. So it's like, I'll do all these things to not experience loss of love, which equates to death, disconnection, or literal death, right? Like I will use all this energy. Oftentimes, people who have developed a strong connection with sympathetic also had like they oftentimes received no love or like disconnection when they collapsed. So it's like you're always loved if you just go, go, go. Achieve, achieve, achieve. Keep it running. Like um and fight is just fight's just a big one. Like it's fight is like achievement, control, power. Like you got lots of love for being powerful. Just generally through the sympathetic spectrum. So oftentimes for folks who are here, this collapse place is also looks like death. So a part of this is they are fighting to stay in sympathetic as much as they possibly can. And they are fighting to avoid ever experiencing this collapse, which doesn't work in life because there are times where things get too overwhelming, and never letting ourselves fall to pieces means that we are always fighting to stay one step ahead of the curve in a way that doesn't ultimately work, because there are times where we do actually have to fall to pieces. Like collapse is not always a bad thing. This can be grief. This can be deep grief, bereavement, loss. It can be, I am overwhelmed and I just don't know what the fuck to do. Like I cannot conquer whatever is in front of me. And there are times where actually falling apart is totally the answer. Another way that this can happen is like if somebody experiences a grief that they're just like, that was so painful and I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel the sadness. It's like I'll just achieve, achieve, distract, distract, keep going, going, going. And part of the work for them is, can I contact the thing that's been sitting and yelling at me in my system so that it can actually move and my body can actually finally soften and I don't have to stay in sympathetic all the time so that I'm not feeling this. So part of the cycle for staying in sympathetic is like, I will stay in extreme positivity. I'm a positive person. I'm super positive. I always look on the bright side. While I never let myself feel my feelings, or I never let myself feel particular feelings. I always look and I'm always seeing the positive. Yet the hurt, because I never let myself feel it, hurt just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until it explodes out of me in rage. This is where you get dissociative rage from people. It's like they never want to feel that place of collapse and grief. And this like suppress, suppress, suppress. I will control, I'll be positive, whatever it looks like, until I explode. And then I make a promise that I'll never get angry like that again. And I feel shame about it. But I can't actually willpower my way through this because it's just asking me to feel what's been there the whole time. And I want to voice too, like there is no shame actually, like in me sharing this, right? These are all survival responses that we developed. Me just like lying like I'm dead on a bed is a survival response. And same thing here, like that rage and suppression was really needed at a certain time in your life. Super valuable, super intelligent for where your system was at. healing out of sympathetic has two facets as well. So number one is letting your body express the fight energy in ways that are productive or flight. It's like go for a run, like chop wood, hot yoga, press against a wall, move the energy and let it feel yourself moving it and be with your body as it moves. So it's not like a dissociative thing. It's like, okay, this is my fight. Let me feel it. Let me feel the power of it. Or this is my flight. And high freeze, often it's like, this is the same, right? It's like, okay, is there a way that I can actually just get this energy out? Can I move it? And that can help. And then the second part, and this is like, have somebody who can support you, a practitioner, but learning how to contact the collapse and the sadness that may be there. It's also that you get to be held by others, right? Remember the story of this sympathetic is I'm on my own. The world is out to get me. That's a worldview that is profoundly unsupported, right? You will live in an experience of never having support when this lens is running. So part of the healing of it is learning how to be held, letting someone else lead, learning that you can fall apart safely and that you will not be dead forever there. It can actually move through you. And in that, your body can like soften, doesn't have to hold this all so tightly. Okay. Ventral vagal. What do I want to say about ventral vagal? The main thing I want to say about ventral vagal is that co-regulation is an essential part of it. So co-regulation is an essential part of polyvagal theory. The idea that co-regulation means bringing in connection helps our system to relax and let down and come back to ventral safety. Connection is a fundamental part of feeling safe in the world, and we are a fundamentally underconnected society and culture. And this is connection with a friend. This is connection with a dog. This is connection with a parent, a lover. This is connection with nature. This can also be, if we're expanding out, we have another session on attachment theory in 2 weeks, which will expand on this. And connection is not just like my romantic partner. That is like a very limited Western dyadic model. It's also like my relationship with food, my relationship with the movement of my body, my relationship with the forest or the desert or the ocean, my relationship with time. How do I relate to time? Am I constantly living in time, scarcity, and urgency? How do I relate to the world around me? And learning all the different channels in which you can bring in connection that helps your body to say, okay, I'm okay. There's more than just like this little I here. Profoundly regulating. I'm sure you all have heard the people say the word regulating. Regulating just means I'm regulating my vagus nerve so that it's not firing into dorsal or sympathetic. Come back to ventral. Partnership dynamics. So generally in a romantic relationship, one partner embodies more sympathetic and the other embodies more dorsal in terms of your stress responses. This is just a thing that happens. We also could say like, anxious, avoidant, right? Overfunction, underfunction. This is just like systemic things that happen in human relationships. Like there's a complementary thing that goes on. And you'll see people, even if one person's more dorsal in a relationship, then they get into a relationship with somebody who's like extremely dorsal, they'll be more go. They'll like pop more into this side of life. But there's a polarity. And this is not a bad thing. Like this is what happens in partnership, that we end up in a relationship with people who complement us. And that's a part of the evolutionary function of relationships. Part of the initiatory function of relationships is this other person holds a frequency or a perspective that is different from ours and that we can learn from. It invite like when this is done well, it's inviting us into different possibilities. When it's done, I don't say poorly, I say this very humbly, right? Like, but like when it's done in a more conflictual way, we just get further and further apart because it looks like the other person is like a problem who doesn't understand the way life is. So the way, and we can take questions about this too, but like a kind of brief version of this, the way to be with if you're more active, if you're more sympathetic and you have a dorsal partner, valuable things is to understand that they're going to need more time than you. They're going to be moving slower than you, and to allow them their time to move slowly without taking it personally. And that could also look like space because dorsal people need time to actually feel what's going on. They need time for the information to come in and settle into them. And then they're like, oh, it like takes a while to actually compute. And that's also because dorsal vagal people don't jump to something really fast. They let all the data come in. Right. So there's a slowness there it has the potential to be very beautiful. But there's an understanding of, yeah, that person's moving more slowly than I do. Um, a video that I have of this. So this is a horse that's in like it's this video is very subtle. I couldn't find a better one. But horses are amazing examples of nervous system states because they move through them all so fluidly. And horses will pop into like a checking out freeze response. And you'll see that with this horse. It's like subtly in freeze, it's like, I don't know. And then it's like, okay, we're good. Yeah, all right, we're okay. Yawning is a sign of the nervous system releasing. Little bit of checking out. How are we doing? Are we okay? Person allows space with like a gentle touch, and the horse is like, oh, okay. Right. That's a very subtle example. And that's the thing that happens in partnership is like, oh, my partner's in freeze. Okay. Yeah. How can I just like be here alongside you without making it a problem because I'm terrified of my own freeze? And actually just like contact them, like, hey, how is it over there? You also get to have boundaries about dorsal with your partner. You can say, hey, like I have a hard time, holding space for you when you're in this spot. Can you get support outside of me? It's totally a very fair and okay thing to ask of a partner. Um, like don't feel like just because your partner's in dorsal that means you need to hang out with them forever. And for fight flight, people who are more in sympathetic, um, they're learning like for me in a relationship with my dorsal tendencies, I like partners teach me about rage. They teach me about sympathetic activation, and I have learned how to meet partners in that and to kind of pop out of my dorsal by learning how to contact my rage and anger, which is a super valuable lesson. For people who are more in fight flight, their journey is more to learn how to soften and to slow down and to rest and even to collapse without trying to solve it or fix it or do something about it. But just like, okay, I'm sad and I'm just going to show you my sadness rather than masking it with anger. Fight flight people are learning how to direct their energy productively. So partnership is a triggering thing, and it's important for them to learn that like rage doesn't go totally to my partner. I take enough time to feel what of my anger is actually for my partner, where my no and my boundary is, so that I'm not burning, radioactive and making it a character attack rather than a like clear like, hey, that hurt me. This is my boundary. Don't do that. I love you. And this is also just like a tip for like fighting with a if you're more in the dorsal side and you're fighting with a partner who like um is burning really hot, it can be really helpful to stop them from talking because their body is trying to move their anger and their mind is trying to talk through stuff, and they can't do both of those at once. It's really valuable for them to work with the body first. So stop speaking, press into my hands, move the energy, shout down to the floor, don't shout in my face, or if I'm game, shout in my face. Just like let the anger and the energy of it flow through your body. And I'm not going to take that super personally because I know some of this is trigger that's not about me. Just get the energy out. Animal first, and then we can speak later. For people, if you're more in sympathetic and you have a dorsal partner, just know that you will need to give them time sometimes, but that does not mean you need to sit with them infinitely. Like, or like if your partner has more capacity online for whatever reason, like the circumstance, you can say, hey, I need to actually feel you. Like, what is bring me your anger or bring me your pain. Like, instead of just kind of like, lying on the ground. I say with humility and compassion. um, yeah, like, because dorsal people do need to learn how to bring out more of their truth and their power and their anger and they're like, this is my emotion in movement, energy in movement, in motion. This is love in the nervous system. Let's come back on video. Is this helpful? Give me like nods if so. Like, is it bringing stuff through to you? Great. Good. Let's um let's do just like some Q&A here. Anything could be like a topic, or it could be this is a thing happening with my partner right now. What do I do with this? Whatever's relevant.
Quickly, I was just writing that down, the tips on how to fight well.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, yeah.
stop talking, move body first, press into hands. Can you tell me what the other two things were? I didn't write them down.
Yes. Evie, do you track more sympathetic or more dorsal?
Definitely more sympathetic.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's great. It's good to feel your energy. So, yeah, for you, the things I
Yeah.
have I have to shut up.
Yeah.
Like like stop trying to do words and move the energy at the same time because my mind isn't online enough to
Uh,
actually do that when my body is having the survival response.
yeah.
Um, so it's like um and this is something you can prearrange with a partner. So you can like create this context, know this is how let's play with this, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
And you just get agreements from them about what they're game for. So the
Right.
practice is, yes, you can press into them. If that feels like too much for them, you can also sit back to back. Sometimes sitting back to back can be like less triggering,
Okay.
but there is contact that can feel good for your system.
Okay.
And then there's like, I'm gonna make the sound of the anger. So I will sound it and move it through my breath and possibly through my pushing into you. And they may be game that you can yell it right in their face, or that might feel like a little too much in this case. So it's like, I'm gonna yell it to the side of your face. But I get to move the energy and like physically feel contact and pressing. And that you're actually here. Part of like in relationship, like moving anger is like that I get to feel that you're here and there's contact and you actually feel me, like feel me. Um, yeah. And it's just like playing with the ways that the energy of the anger can move through your system. And then there's like a bit of a like, oh, okay. Like that moved through me. And now I can like speak it a little bit.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
does that feel helpful?
Yes. It needs to be with them. It shouldn't be like you by yourself trying to move through the anger. It should be alongside them.
And no, it can totally be by yourself
Okay.
too, or with a friend. Yeah.
Okay.
Like proxies can be amazing for this. You can let your friend be your
Yeah.
partner, and
Okay.
like it's like a psychodrama. It's like, okay, you
Yeah.
just hurt me. Let's do it. Let's do this scene.
Yeah, because typically when I get activated like that, I kind of want to like kill them. Like I get this overwhelming thing where I just like want to harm them or like kill them or like I hate them so much in that moment. I like want to scream at them, but I don't see them as being like a safe person. Like I don't want to press my body up against theirs. I just want to like tear them down with my words.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. I love you bringing this in.
Great.
Yeah. So two things with that. One, yes, doing it on your own is great.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna just take a breath of that and feel if I have anything to add there that could be useful.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's such a good question and it's helpful for the group too, because this is just a real human experience that happens. You're not alone in it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I love you bringing it in here.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, what I would say with that one, like when it's time, is like some one-to-one work that supports you contacting that place of rage inside of you as well, so that
Hmm.
there's more connection to it.
Hmm.
My guess is what happens there is like I was speaking about the way the rage cycle can have like I'll suppress the thing,
Hmm.
the hurt, and it'll stay down until eventually it just bursts through really intensely.
Hmm.
And like the suppression can also look like I do everything I can to stay in connection and I'm right here with you. And like, ow, that hurt. I'm right here until like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
don't you, like, I've done everything.
Yeah.
Don't you see me? And there's like, it's like getting to contact the hurt as it actually
Right.
happens and voice it in real time so that it's not building.
Right. Yeah.
Am I back?
You're back. Hi.
How are you doing, Abby? How's it just to receive this right now in front of like multiple people you don't know?
Yeah. I'm not gonna kill anybody. I'm not a murderer. Okay.
Can anybody, I'd love to have like some, like, can anybody resonate with that experience of like, I'm gonna fucking destroy somebody? Yeah, Justin. Lindsay, yes. Yeah, not alone.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's typically like starts with a deep freeze for like a while. Like it typically starts with like a freeze, 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 and then like explosion. And it's hard to navigate. It's
Totally.
a little crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think moving through the anger and getting through it with my body would allow me to communicate my needs in a way that's not just like blowing up on a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a deep bow to you, Evie. Like, I'm glad you're here. And like, yeah, your heart always shines so brightly in these spaces. And I want to say like
Thank you.
there's something about I don't know, it's gone. Must not be important. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it.
It's really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Because after the explosion, I typically spend a lot of time crying. So it does go back down after. So it would be good to, yeah, move through the anger and then be able to talk about it and get to the crying, the vulnerability. this year. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The goal when we're moving anger, and this is like, I'm voicing something perfect. So it's not like, you're wrong or something, but like where we're moving towards is that we can get to like our specific no. It's like,
Mhm.
this is what hurt. Ow. This is the thing that didn't work. What the
Right.
fuck? That's not
Right.
love. I love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Um,
Thank you.
totally. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there, while I'm asking you a question, is there a way that you would recommend to move through the freeze state
Hmm.
in a healthier way? Because that's how pretty much all arguments with my previous partner would go, with like he would do something that I would think was disrespectful, or I would see him, on his phone doing something and that I didn't like, and then I would just freeze and he would ask me what was wrong a bunch of times and I would say nothing and nothing and nothing. And while I'm like internally combusting, and then I would like start shaking, like my whole body would start convulsing, and then I would just sort of like vomit onto him with anger. Um,
Yeah.
is there a way that you would suggest to like kind of
Yeah.
calm down in the freeze state so that it doesn't like hike up into that? It could be like disarmed earlier.
Yeah. There's two things that happen to me when you say that. One is like, I'm just like, this is so good. I love you just bringing the rawness. It makes the space amazing.
Might as well.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And two, yeah, you're like leading such gorgeous unshaming to everybody in their deep rage places. Um, yeah, so the freeze, how long does the freeze last for you? Is it like seconds? Is it minutes? Is it longer? What's that like?
It can be like up to like half an hour sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that you're able to catch and be like, I think I'm in a freeze response right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, you know
totally.
it.
Yeah,
Good.
like I'm in a freeze. Because typically sometimes I'll be able to like sort of calm myself down in a way for like several days, but then the rage will come out almost like seems very random, like
Yeah,
I'll
totally.
be able to just sort of move on with the night with this thing in the back of my mind, but I can sort of fake it, to like
So much strength to hold back that much rage.
really
Um,
dramatic.
yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a couple things I'd say.
Yeah.
Number one is knowing, and this is all experimentation, so we just get to play and see what works for you. Number one is like calling it when you have a freeze response and you're like, I have to try something other than trying to suppress this.
Yeah.
Anything, and not with my partner first. I have to do something other than keep this down.
Yeah.
I just have to play, like experiment.
Yeah.
Things I'll throw out as possibilities are um get a person who can hold you, like friend,
Uh-huh.
who can just be there and you're like, I have got to move some serious energy. Like, can you like SOS?
Yeah.
Like this has to get out of me. And if
Yeah.
it comes out of my partner, it's not going to be good right now. I need to like move this so I can actually share. Because what's happening in this cycle is like, and I sense you already know this, but I was just saying it for the group, like the rage that's moving in that instance is
Mhm.
not like it's what happened for your partner in that moment. It's probably also a bunch of stored resentment from other stuff that they're getting like extra doses of that isn't
Yeah.
quite fair for them because it's
Yeah.
like it comes too it becomes too edgy and too
Yeah.
intense for what actually just happened, possibly.
Yeah.
It's also probably a bunch of stuff that happened in your childhood that like is getting triggered and boiling into this circumstance. So the like, you know, our like holding ourselves and holding our partners is like, I am gonna move the intensity of this somewhere else so that like I can come to you and actually bring what's real
Yeah.
for you. And then I get to totally bring your anger, but we bring it a little more accurately and like
Mhm.
cleanly. And then there's way more chance for our partner to actually receive it and
Mhm.
something productive to come out of our anger rather than like the person just being destroyed and then us feeling shameful and crying or like collapsed afterwards.
Yeah.
So I would say getting a friend who can hold you, or like go for a walk in nature and just like kick some trees and like, ask if there's a tree that will hold you. And then just like get it out.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, great.
yeah, things also that like just generally physical movement is often helpful here. It's just like I just have to discharge some of the energy from my nervous system. So like run, high intensity interval training, like whatever it is that just like, can I get this out of me a
Yeah.
bit? And then you know that what you're like when you've discharged some of the energy, you know that you're looking for uh what are the specific actions that my partner did that hurt or that my partner didn't do that hurt,
Yeah.
so that I can communicate like where my boundary is of like, hey, this is what didn't work, and my request of like, this is what I need to be different in the future.
Mhm.
And I can hold the energy of like, ow, that hurt, and I can bring to you like, hey, that really hurt. Like that did
Yeah.
not feel good. And
Yeah.
this is not about who you are as a person, but that action was not okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically just play. Yeah, and see what different can happen.
Amazing. That's super helpful.
And then like eventually one-to-one support to sort of discharge some of the ways that rage from the past has gotten
Yeah.
looped will help too.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's helpful for the whole group.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? Yeah. Hey, Lindsay.
Okay, I'm not brave enough to be recorded with my face and say the things that I'm going to say. Is that okay?
Great. Yeah, it's totally okay. I will, you know what? I'm just going to stop recording.
Oh, good.